Welcome to the $1 Million Career. This is Rob Houghton and my special guest, as usual, Craig Picken with North Star Search Group. How you doing, Craig?
Rob, I am good. I'm good. Sunday morning.
Yeah, man.
It's about 100 degrees outside, but life is spectacular. I'm going on vacation tomorrow.
You need a vacation. You've
I
been
do.
working really hard.
Taking a couple of days off, taking Lisa and the kids up there. We're going to Asheville.
Asheville.
Yeah, we're going to the mountains.
It's nice up there.
It's a little cooler than the beach right now.
Isn't that where the Biltmore is?
Yeah.
I've been there before. Dropped a lot of money at that place, man.
I'm sure I'll probably do the same, but much to today's topic, we're going to go ride some horses and we're going to go see the Biltmore and we're going to go
No kidding.
hang on downtown Asheville. The coolest thing about Asheville, North Carolina is it's kind of like Aspen in the East. And there's what's really cool about it is the street performers there are awesome.
Yeah.
I could literally take $100 bill, $100 worth of, dollar bills and just stand there all day long and watch the street performers.
Wow.
They're just cool. So anyway, that's
Don't
my
let your
story.
wife see you do that.
What's that?
But don't let your wife see you do that.
Well, you could do the juggler. Yeah, you got the jugglers and the
Jugglers. I thought you were talking about something else.
The jugglers and the guys that are doing they're painting the sidewalks and
I got you.
Yeah, the mimes and stuff like that. They got a lot of talent. It's kind of like a cool place. It's a very eclectic city. So anyway.
Well, I'm in 100 degrees where I am is cool. It was 132 today. I'm in Abu Dhabi. And I'm in my hotel room. That's why I've got the big MRF screen up behind me here. So no, all's good here. I'm glad to have you back. We're going to talk about horses, man.
Let's talk about
Thoroughbred
horses.
race horses.
Looking forward to talking about horses.
We're going to talk. Well, we're going to be at Saratoga in what, 3 weeks?
There we go. Yep.
A month?
3 weeks? No, 3 weeks away.
Wow. Can't believe it, man. Anyways, so thoroughbred racehorses. So what does thoroughbred racehorses have to do with the $1 Million Career? Well, there's been a lot of $1 Million horses, Secretariat, Rachel Alexandra, Medaglia d'Oro, Triple Crown winners. We can go on and on. Racing is $1 million business. But really what we're going to talk about is, there's 4 different ways to evaluate a horse for overall talent when you buy racehorses, okay? I'll get more into this, but what I'm going to really do today is I'm going to compare that to people.
Yep.
Because based upon horses, you can tell a lot about people. I started thinking about this, thinking about a trip, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of parallels, a lot of analogies that we can draw. So, I'll kick it off by just kind of throwing something out there. So when selecting a racehorse, because when you're in a thoroughbred horse racing business, you have to buy a horse.
Yep.
So there's really 4 criteria when you buy a horse. Number 1, the bloodlines, the pedigree. Number 2, the athleticism of the horse. Number 3, the conformation. In other words, how does a horse look? Does he have long legs? Does he have the right muscle structure? And number 4, probably the most important one, does the horse have heart? So those are the 4 things, and I'm going to throw that out to you. So I know you know something about horses, but I'm going to try and relate this over to primarily salespeople. So what do you think?
Well, look, I think that what am I looking for when I read a resume or when I'm doing a search? I'm looking for pedigree. There are definitely some universities. There are universities that catch my attention. Purdue, in the aviation world, Purdue.
Oh, really?
Phenomenal. Oh, it was awesome. Michigan State, Georgia Tech for technical people. I see somebody like with a Purdue, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, and they're kind of an engineering technical Rensselaer. I'm paying attention.
RPI?
RPI. If I look at, obviously, then it comes down to, if you see the other, if you see MBA, Harvard, Columbia, University of Michigan,
Yeah.
that gets my attention too.
Yeah.
Pedigree, but look, I could tell you straight up, my next door neighbor in my apartment building or my office complex is a very good friend of mine. He's a private equity guy. He won't hire Harvard. He says they're not athletes.
There you go, man. Yeah.
So, you're talking about your criteria for, when you go out and buy a thoroughbred. He's looking
like
at,
when you buy a thoroughbred, like at Ocala in Florida, that's where you buy the 2-year-olds.
Mhm.
One of the first things they do, they give you the book that has all the bloodlines and all the pedigree.
Yep.
But what the most, and you can actually go out and look at the horses with a trainer, and you can tell if this is a good looking horse, is it a tall horse, long legs, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But the most important part, the highlight of the 1 week auction is all the horses have to run 3 furlongs. And it's all on camera, it's all on tape. Horses can't hide. They either got the athleticism or they don't. And you can see these horses run. And you're
Yep.
thinking, wow, that is a good horse. But then you go back and look at the pedigree, and it may not have a good pedigree. So these are all the kind of things that go into valuing a horse and how much you're going to pay for it, how much you're going to auction it for.
So yeah, I mean, I look at the pedigree, I look at the athlete, I love athletes in business.
Yeah.
They typically want to win.
Yeah.
They hate to lose. They want to win. They come
It's
to
a
you
good
with,
question. So how would
come
you
to you-
define an athlete in a sales position? I mean, what are some of the things that would be an athlete?
they hate to lose. They hate to lose. They will not lose a deal. An athlete is, look, I've known people that have literally gotten on airplanes or driven 4 hours. Hey, send me the contract, sign the contract, PDF it, send it back to me. Yeah. Okay. I'll get it to you, whatever. I've known people that are like, no, I'm going to get on an airplane and I am going to come see you and you're going to hand me the contract and I will buy you dinner. That's an athlete. That's an athlete.
Yeah, I think of athleticism, because I'm going to get to the next thing is heart. That's where you get into, do you really want to come in second place, or do you want to win? Athleticism that I've seen sort of on the insurance side is, the guys that could do the blocking and tackling, prospecting, developing relationships, executing the plan. So you've got the sales training, you've got the attributes, the natural talent. Now you got to go out and execute on the field. But the heart is an interesting thing, because I was telling you, I had this racehorse, African Knight, actually was sold by 2 Somali guys in Florida who were engaged in nefarious activities, and they had to liquidate their assets. So a guy called me up and said, "Hey, Rob, I got this horse, African Knight. Just bought it from these 2 Somali guys. Would you be interested in it?" I went through the whole process. The horse was beautiful, a dark red, kind of a dark bay, dark red, long legs, beautiful, great bloodlines from El Prado, which was Medaglia d'Oro is a son of El Prado. Unbelievable horse, great price. I got paid like $150,000 for it or something. Ran him up in Belmont racetrack, He's running this race, comes in second place by a head. I'm thinking, I got to race him again. Wait 3 weeks, race him again, second place. Next race, second place. I mean, he's losing these races by like a freaking nose or an ear. And I can't remember what his record was. I made a pretty good amount of money off him, because you make money on second place too. But it was amazing. That horse, he didn't have the heart to win the damn race. And it's like, you probably know some sales guys like that too. They can't close the deal, right?
Well, look at Gronkowski. Gronk didn't have the heart anymore. He's out. I'm gone. If I don't feel like showing up for, spring practice, summer practice, I'm done. I don't have the heart. That's when people step away from it, when they look at it and they go, I just don't have, my heart is just not into this anymore. And that's the big question that people, look, when we're talking about investing in winners, people for your organizations who are going to win. You want a good pedigree. You want to know people are smart. You want to know that people can run hard.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do what it takes to make, not 80% of their bonus, but 100% of their bonus every year, or commission. It's like, I'm not a big fan of, so much bonus is tied to company performance, because I think that's crap. It's like somebody could knock it out of the park and the CEO sucks, and the guy gets paid 80% of his, or girl gets paid 80% of their bonus because the CEO sucks, right?
Yeah.
But that's it. You want to know they got pedigree. You want to know that their heart is into it. They're willing to do the right thing. That they're an athlete and they're going to do whatever it takes to kill it. Right. That's a good investment.
Yeah. Yeah. How about the confirmation though? So in the horse business, confirmation it's a beautiful looking horse. Wow. What a coat on that horse. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Side to side view. It's straight, which means it's going to run fast. It's probably going to run without getting hurt. The body is just put together beautifully, and the equivalent to that in the business world, I think, is the guy that everybody calls as the empty suit, right?
Right.
We all know who these people are, right? I used to work for a guy, man, this guy had a beautiful navy blue suit, a dark suit, dark charcoal, black suit, white starch collar, a beautiful tie, handkerchief, shiny shoes, nice belt, the watch, the Rolex, hair slicked back. This guy looked like he'd walk out of a beauty salon every day for work. Smelled of fresh French cologne.
Yep.
He had an office, right? He kept the door closed. You walk in his office, he had all the lights turned off except a lamp on his desk. And people wonder, like, what in the hell does this guy do anyways? He was like VP of business development. It turns out he was a relative of one of the owners of the company. And he went to a nice college. I think he was a Yale graduate. Man, this guy was as dumb as this desk right here.
I call them the Kim Kardashians, because and here's why. I go, nobody knows what Kim Kardashian does. And what's the business of Kim Kardashian? It's Kim Kardashian. That's it. And nobody knows what she does, but they just know that she gets paid a lot of money and has built this unbelievable brand, right? Well, that works for her. The Kardashians have built an unbelievable marketing machine around them.
You know how that whole thing got started?
I have no idea. I just know that
their old man was the lawyer that defended OJ.
Yeah. It was OJ Simpson's. It was OJ Simpson's lawyer, and then obviously sex tapes and nefarious activities, and then they took on that for they marketed themselves brilliantly.
Yeah.
But you look at it and you're like, ooh, what do you guys actually do? And the answer is no. What do you do? What do you make? Nothing. And there's always a Kim Kardashian in an organization where, they show up. They I used to think about this guy. I won't say his name, but at Gulfstream Aircraft. I used to go when I go to national business, when I go to the trade shows, National Business Aircraft Association, whatever else. There's this guy that stands out in front of their booth. He's been there for 30 freaking years. And nobody knows what he does. Oh, he just has good relationships with the customer. Well, what does he do? Well, we don't know. He just has good relationships with the customers. But he stands out in front of the booth in a scraggly beard, a cheap suit, and Rockport shoes. Now, personally, I don't think Rockport's belong within a mile of any business venue, but that's
Exactly.
that's me who's sitting here in a t-shirt and a hat.
Hey, there's
But-
a guy that, yeah.
But you're like, what does this guy do? And we don't know. We just, the customers like him. Oh, okay. Yeah. He built
There's
his
this
whole,
guy that, yeah, there's this guy that Jack knows, okay? We're not gonna mention any names here, but you know what I'm talking about. So he goes, Ebbets Grill across from the White House. We're having a beer. And he says, watch this. There's gonna be some guy that's gonna show up here, probably between 7 or 8 o'clock. And he's gonna stand over there in the corner and he's gonna have his dress officer's uniform on. And he's gonna look the part, man. You're gonna think this guy walked out of, Central
officer
Cast.
and a gentleman or something like
Yeah,
that. Right?
and he's
As
gonna
Joker
stand
White's-
over there and the guy's gonna be like a magnet and everybody's gonna wanna go over and talk to him. But he says, to be honest with you, Rob, the guy never even made it through training. And somehow or another, nobody's ever figured out that how he has all the medals and, the salad is what they
Yeah.
call it on the uniform, and he had the shiny shoes and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to picture this thing. And all of a sudden we're there after like an hour and a half having a beer. And I turn around and there's this dude standing right where he said he was going to stand. And Jack's like, the guy's here like every Saturday night.
It's crazy, but
A total empty suit. The guy, I
They-
said, really, what has this guy ever done? Jack's like, nothing,
Yep.
nothing. Never has
Nothing.
done anything.
but they show up, but they look good, and people are like, well, they show up and they look good. But yeah, that's kind of like my buddy next door at Harvard. Yeah, this guy is buying, selling companies and driving companies, and he's like, the problem I have with the Harvard guys and girls is the MBAs is that they want to come in and they want to do stuff from 10,000 feet. They want to guide, lead, direct. I need people down in the trenches.
Yeah.
So where does he go recruit from? William and Mary, University of North Carolina. He will take, he'll go to the schools, more of a working class, where people get a good pedigree, but they know how to get down in the trenches and work.
Yeah.
And that's, that's a common thing I hear about from a lot of you probably hear it from a lot of businesses too. This person will not get down in the trenches.
Yeah, I think in the business world, the pedigree is what you just talked about, the Ivy League education, or in the insurance world, it's somebody who's worked for Aon or Willis, one of the
Right.
top 5, and they think all of a sudden, I know everything.
Right.
Big mistake, big mistake. So you're right. I mean, they say that people are hired in our business. You tell me if this isn't true. People are hired for what they've done, but they're always fired for who they are.
Yeah, well, it
Right.
comes down to what's the big thing when you go look at a mutual fund prospectus.
Yeah.
What's it always say at the bottom? Past performance is not past performance is not a guarantee of future performance, right?
Right. Sure.
Well, it sort of is. And I'll say why it sort of is. And this goes to people. Past performance in every job that you've had is kind of an indicator as to how you'll work in the next one. If you've been fired from 3 jobs or laid off from 3 jobs, chances are you're probably going to get laid off from the 4th job because you haven't done anything. But you think about going back to the mutual fund, you've got a smart money manager. They're investing in smart stock, decent stocks. They've built a good team. They've got a process that they're using to evaluate stocks, which they think will provide an above average rate of return, right?
Yeah.
Well, you take that to people, and you look at a person who says, well, they've been in a job 3-4 years and they moved. Well, why'd you leave? Well, I got bored there. I did everything I could. I had a lot of success. I wanted to go somewhere else where I could have, more. I wanted to go get an equity play. I wanted to go, do something really, really cool. versus the person who is like, oh man, my boss and I, we just didn't get along. Well, what about the second job? Oh, if they had only done what I told them they should do. Well, what about this job? Oh my gosh, they were so messed up. And, we just, eventually we just realized we couldn't work together, and I just took a buyout.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah.
Did you ever, so there was a famous Monday night football game with the San Francisco 49ers. And at that time, their coach was Mike Singletary, Hall of Fame
Oh yeah, sure.
linebacker for the Chicago Bears.
For the
right?
Bears,
Real-
yeah, man.
Really fiery guy. So Vernon Davis is on the sidelines. Monday night football, right? There's cameras all over the place. Vernon Davis was like the 5th or 6th pick in the first round for the Niners that year or the year before. And the camera pans on Vernon Davis, who had dropped a couple passes, and the Niners were losing the game. And he was way down at like the 20-yard line, kneeling down in his helmet. Looked like he was a beaten man. Mike Singletary, the camera catches Mike Singletary walking over to Vernon Davis. And next thing you know, Vernon Davis is on his way to the locker room. And after the game, it was a big thing because here's your number 1 pick, sends him off to the locker room. There's still a half a game to play. He's giving his press conference, and they said, Coach, what happened with Vernon Davis? Coach says, and I don't remember the exact words, but basically, I sent him off. He wasn't being part of the team. He wasn't into the game. He wasn't motivated. So I kicked him off the field, sent him into the locker room. And then very famously, somebody from the reporting pool, one of the reporters says, why did you do that? He's your number 1 pick. Yeah, first rounder. Great football player. I'll never forget this. Singletary paused for a few minutes, looks down at the microphone and says, because I want winners. I want winners. It's a real famous YouTube clip if you look at it. I want winners. I want winners. And that's why I told him, don't come back on the field unless you want to win, because I want winners.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Well, I think it's, it's like this. If your head's not into the game or your heart's not into the game, don't be on the field, because you're going to hurt more people than you'll help. Right.
Yeah.
You think about businesses. Not every person on your team is going to be into it, whatever it is going to be into work that day or every day. Look, sick parents, sick kids, working moms trying to keep it all together. Life changes. And I think that's when you come in as a leader and you realize I've got a really good player whose head is just out of the game for a bit. And good leaders understand that that's when you step up as a leader and go, look, I see your head's not into this.
Right.
Go take a break. Go fix whatever needs to be fixed and come back when you're ready. Because right now you're not helping yourself. You're not helping me. You could be doing some damage to people.
You bring up a good point. Let me throw this at you. So I'll give you another racehorsing example. Rachel Alexandra, probably the greatest filly ever to race against thoroughbreds. A female horse, okay? Races in the Preakness, it wins the Preakness. I believe the horse was 18-0. Right. I went to see this horse race at Saratoga in the Woodward, I think 2009. He was racing against a horse called Macho Again, who was an unbelievable horse, owned by Terry Finley, a good friend of mine with West Point Thoroughbreds. There you go. And Macho Again was a closer, and everybody thought Macho Again was going to overtake Rachel at the finish line. And it was a long race, like 7 furlongs. Because again, it was all males in the race. Steely-eyed, killer male thoroughbreds who had been to the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont, everything. And here's Rachel Alexandra trying to go undefeated racing in this race. 60,000 people at Saratoga.
Right.
Rachel Alexandra races. She's ahead the whole race.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Macho again comes out of nowhere and is bearing down on her. And actually briefly takes the lead. And everybody thought Rachel was done. But this horse had such a big heart. She
Mhm.
came back and won by a freaking nose
Mhm.
and beat Macho again. But the tragedy about that is that I don't think Rachel ever won a race again because she totally spent herself.
Yep.
Her heart was so big and she just gave it so much
Yep.
that she can never be that horse again. And I'm going to ask you the question. Have you ever experienced that with particularly a peak performing sales guy? Can they be
Absolutely.
such a big heart and put so much into it that they just
Yep.
spend themselves, you know? And maybe that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. I mean, it's like I said, life changes. You know, like what's going on. Hey, look, I remember when I was top sales guy at a company. When I was up in West Virginia, I was a head sales guy, and the owners of the business wanted to do something else, and they're like, hey, look, we want to bring in. We love you. We see you here for a purpose. You're a really good individual sales guy. We want to bring somebody else to lead the sales team. I'm like, okay. Why not me?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not me? And they didn't have a good answer for it. And, they didn't bring in the right sales. It's ultimately my heart left. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. And that's my person. Did they make, looking back now, I go, look, at the end of the day, I'm probably better off. They probably made a good decision in that, I've got enough emotional intelligence to realize that I do better by myself than I do trying. I am better alone and doing my thing than trying to lead a bunch of salespeople. I get frustrated easy. There's a lot of things that
Well,
maybe other people.
Here's what I think. I mean, my initial reaction is that I think you would be a great leader of a sales team, but not a great manager.
I am a good coach. I coach people well. I'm not a good manager. I don't, and that's, and they probably saw that. But instead of coming and saying, hey, look, here's why we're going to make our decision, or here's what we want to do, and having a big boy conversation, and I quit. I'm like, all right, I'm out. And it was a great decision. It was a great decision for me. Wasn't a good decision for them. That sales team that they brought in just wasn't really, they lasted 6 months. But for me, it was a great decision because I was like, all right, let's go. But I think that's kind of what it comes down to is you can take, when you start to put barriers in front of people, you start to do, the political games start to play, you'll suck the life right out of folks, or they'll have a great year. Have you ever had a sales guy that's had an unbelievably good year, or girl, and then the next year they're just like, ugh, I can't get into it. I can't do it anymore.
It's like Rachel,
burn themselves out.
She burned herself out on that one race,
Right.
And I think that happens to people too, which is why when you're talking about horses and people too, it's why you can have a big heart, but having a big heart isn't enough if you become a car driving down the highway with your fender hanging off,
right,
and it's gathering sparks, because eventually the car's going to stop. You know what I mean? It's like a horse. A horse has to have athletic ability. It's got to have the really good conformation, or it's going to break down, and it has to have some pedigree. The heart, is that difference between a good horse and a great horse. Maybe it's the same thing with people too. I mean, we can hire people that have really good pedigree, a good background, not a problem with that. Good athletic ability, the ability to execute, not a problem there. they can, you know, be a great athlete. But, you know, the confirmation again is how they look. Can they speak well? Do they look well? Do they present themselves well? The secret weapon is the heart. Do they have the heart? Can they close the deal?
Yeah, I think I think it's heart, it's athleticism, it's pedigree. Where do they come from? The end, but I think it's, people are not machines, and you can't run a person. You can't take your best person, and this is where a lot of leaders get themselves in trouble. They take their best person and they pile more, and you've got your Pareto, right? You've got 20% of the people that are doing 80% of the work.
Yeah.
And then you've got, that bottom 10%, which is there and doesn't do anything but suck the lifeblood out of your business. But, at the end of the day, you get these people, they throw more and more stuff on them because they know it just gets done. Well, eventually that person you can only throw so much on that person, no matter how good they are. When they either say, hey, look, I'll take it, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. I want something in return. Or, they just like, I can't handle this anymore. One day they just snap and they're like, I'm out. Well, why'd you leave us? You were doing so great. Well, because you guys kept throwing so much stuff on top of me. And I'm doing the job of 4 people, but you never increased my pay. You never gave me a bonus. You never did this, that. Then one day they're gone. And that's what happens when you try to drive your people 110% all day, every day.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the horses. We had a horse called Write That Down. Man, I tell you, it's a beautiful looking horse, great athletic ability, phenomenal pedigree, bloodlines all the way back to Mendigo Doro, El Prado, 2 of the best sires out there. And I remember we started him out at Saratoga, I think, in a maiden race, and he won. And then we kept increasing the size of the race. And I think over the first 12 months that we raced him, he was in way over his head, man.
Yeah.
You can see that horse. I let him out of the paddock area into the main paddock at Saratoga. It was a big race. It was like a $75,000 grade 2 race. And, it's a horse. Horses don't really have expressions, but I remember looking at him in the ring, thinking to myself, he's scared shitless. He's afraid of these horses, You can just tell by his body language. It was just too big of a race for him.
Yeah.
And he got out there and he didn't do well, and he got embarrassed. Horses actually can get embarrassed, believe it or not. Horses have a lot of humanistic traits. They can be bullies on the racetrack. They can be cocky. They can get embarrassed. And I think Write That Down and got embarrassed because he was never the same horse after that. And we ended up racing him down at a track in Southern Virginia, and he still couldn't win a damn race. I just wanted to win one more race with him. We were racing like $3,000 races, and he still couldn't win. I'm like, come on, man. And he'd look at me with that shameful look. You could just tell he was done, man. He was done.
Like Earl Campbell. You remember Earl Campbell, Houston Oilers?
Oh man, that guy.
Yeah, the whole Houston Oiler, the sorry, all that was Earl run left, Earl run right.
Yeah, he was
Earl up the middle, send in the punter. And they beat up Earl, they abused Earl. He was one of the best running backs of the time. But they beat him up, they abused him. And one day he's like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. My body's punished. My heart's out of it. My head's gone.
I think he's in a wheelchair now, isn't he?
Oh, he was looking, he's 60, early 60s, and
he looks like he's 90.
He can't even walk anymore.
Yeah, the other guy that's been beat up is Ezekiel Elliott with the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he had so many injuries. And last year, he didn't even belong on a football field. And for some reason, Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, kept playing him, kept feeding him the ball. And I felt so sorry for the guy because he's just beat up now, man.
It's like Luke Kuechly, after 9 concussions, Luke being the linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, like 9 concussions, he finally decides to hang it up. But,
Yeah.
that's the thing is, people are not machines. It's, you take your best people, you let them run, and then
Yeah.
you back off and you give them some space to recover and recuperate. And then you let them run again. They'll tell you when they're ready. But,
That's what a horse does too, actually.
it's
A
exactly
good trainer will train a horse so that when you get to the last furlong, the last pole of a race, the jockey should not be really applying any pressure on that
Mhm.
horse. The horse is just running at full speed, and he's either going to win or he's not. At that point, there's not a lot of stuff you can do with the horse. Yeah, man, racehorses.
There you go.
So
Learn a
again,
lot.
yeah. So again, we're talking about the pedigree, the conformation, athleticism, and heart. Same thing with people,
Yep.
It's
all good.
Yeah, man. So I'm looking forward to going up to the track. Saratoga, man.
Saratoga in 3 weeks. I'm looking forward to that. I've never been to Saratoga in August, so I'm looking forward to it.
Are you sure you've never been? You grew up
Never
in
been.
upstate New York, didn't you?
No, I just lived up there. My family's from up there, but I never really spent much time. So but I've never been. I've been to
Oh my
Saratoga,
gosh.
but I've never been to the track or anything like that. So I'm looking forward to it this year.
Oh, we have a great time up there. Horses, it's just parties and people sitting in lawn chairs and winning money, losing money. I don't go to gamble. I just go to hang out with the horses.
I don't gamble anywhere, but I'm looking forward to hanging out.
I'll get
so-
you in the paddock, man.
There you go. I'll look
You
forward to
can
it.
play the role of a big shot, man. For one day, you can be a big shot. Bringing your horse in the paddock and pretending like you own it. I got a cowboy hat for you.
All right.
I got a bolo to hold the cowboy
Oh man,
boots.
I got the whole thing, huh?
I even got a pair of chaps for you too.
Very cool.
I got one of those Roy Rogers shirts too that has the tassels, coming down here. But anyways, good talking with you. And
Safe travels home.
yes, safe travels to you too. And I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks,
Until
Rob.
next week. All right,
All
man.
right, buddy. See you.